Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of IV Games Weekly. I am Austin Harrison, and I am, of course, joined by Zach Dixon, and we have a
Hello.
special guest, Nicolas Fournier. Nicolas,
Hey guys,
wonderful to have you on the show. Thanks for being here.
thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with your first campaign / game ever. Although I haven't played the game yet, but everything I've seen about it looks incredible.
Yeah.
But Megapulse, it's live right now, right?
Yeah, we launched I think 3 days ago, 2 days ago.
3 days.
Yeah,
Those 3 days felt like 3 months.
Yeah. Well, they pass very fast because there's
That's true.
like when you launch a campaign, there's a bunch of stuff you have to change with the feedback of people and all that stuff. So you're just rushing left and right. So it felt really like one day, in fact.
Oh man. Okay, so that first day feels like 3 days to me. I think it's just answering all the comments and then we try to do some live streaming and stuff like those. Those days feel super long. But no, it's great to have you on the show. Thanks so much for being here. Zach, we play some Mario Kart, don't we?
We do. Yes.
I've definitely lost to you quite a few times in Mario Kart.
No, I'm not bad, but we do a lot of staff Mario Kart with the whole IV team, and
Nice.
it's I am not the best, so it's but I do my best.
So I love right away, Nick, that you at the very beginning of the campaign, it's an adrenaline-filled futuristic racing game inspired by F-Zero, Wipeout, and Mario Kart, and really just leaning into it rather than people like, this is like these things. It's like, yeah, this is like these things.
Yeah.
But before we jump in too deep into Megapulse, which I'm excited to do, I do want to just learn a little bit more about who you are. Because this is your first campaign. We don't really know each other. We've talked one other time, maybe two other times because we met in person at Gen Con. That was awesome.
Yeah.
It was so nice to be at a real convention again after being in my house for 12 months.
Definitely, yeah.
But yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you in the world? Not specifically, not your address, but just what part of the world you're in and what you do for a living.
Yeah, I'm French Canadian, so I'm from Montreal in Quebec, in Canada. Well, to be more generic. I'm studying game design at university. I'm also a game designer at my day job. I work for a small indie studio. We do video games and board games. It's really fun to work there because a small studio, you have more importance there. You have more decisions to make and all that stuff. So it's fun to start your career and already have like something to design and actually be a part of. So that's really cool. So I do that as my day job, and I'm working at Orion Games, the banner under which I am publishing Megapulse in my spare time, and and I've been doing that for 2 years now, 2.5 years, working on Megapulse, so here I am now at the culmination of this project, and just launched.
Yeah, well, it looks incredible, and I'm very excited to play it. I know quite a few of our Discord members, Zach, have actually already played it and liked it a lot. Yeah,
right.
Some of them are doing a lot of testing for it. So I'm eager to play. Unfortunately, 2 kids makes my play testing time a little bit scarcer than I would like to have. But no, that's incredible. I cannot believe that you are able to do this as a student and with a full-time job.
I took a small break from the university.
If you had kids, I would say it's even harder. But,
yeah, I agree. Well, I took a small break from university during just before the campaign and during the campaign because I wouldn't have been able to do it otherwise. Yeah, but preparing it all that time before with all these 3 things, definitely. I had to take some breaks at some points because I was like on the edge of a burnout or something. So, I tried to juggle these 3 things. Yeah,
definitely. Well, so if people haven't like heard or familiar with the game, can you give us like just a little bit of rundown about Megapulse and what it is for everybody who hasn't who might not be familiar?
So it's we call it an action-packed racing game because basically it's a racing game where you can shoot people, place bombs behind you. There's these boosts on the track you're trying to take to go faster, to repair, to charge more nitro, and basically it's a game where you're never asked to slow down. So we don't ask you to slow down in those curves. Instead, you're just gonna lose traction, take damage on those walls, but you can move sideways to keep in the center of the curve and keep going. So it's just a question of timing. And also because we are doing simultaneous action selection, so we select 2 cards at the same time and then reveal and play our turns. The game plays faster, but also you have some action planning, trying to figure out what people will do. If you know what they're about to do, maybe you can try to contract them or screw them up or something. So with the upgrade cards as well, so you pass these checkpoints, you gain some upgrades into your hand. These will allow you to do all kinds of crazy stuff. So really, it's just like these video games, as you see on the top of the screen, like F-Zero, Wipeout, Mario Kart, all these games packed into some kind of racing board game experience.
Yeah, I love that. And it looks like you have 2 of our good friends, Alex Radcliffe and Mark Street, on your page, which are 2 excellent people to have play your game and talk about it.
Yeah, definitely.
And they seem like they had a blast with it. So, I mean, Alex said you always feel like you're having fun, and it's a fast, well-paced, streamlined racing game. And Alex has probably played a lot more racing games than I have, so I definitely trust him.
I've never played a racing board game. That's
really,
oh,
yeah. There's a lot of them, but a few of them are really like combat racing games that Alex called them. So he referenced Tiny Turbo Cars and Death Row All Stars, all of these games that came up recently. And we have another quote from him lower in the page that says that he thinks like it's the fastest and punchiest of those games. So
nice.
I think that's a good thing. And Mark Street, he came up to us and wanted to try out the game, and he played and wanted to try to play it again with the rest of the Dice Tower team. So we had actually 2 playtests together. So I think that's a good sign.
Yeah,
that is a great sign.
Yeah.
I love, so first off, Dave Beck, author of Distilled, creator of Distilled. He's been on IVM's Weekly before.
Yeah.
Excellent conversation with him. He said it feels like a Tronified Flamme Rouge.
Yeah.
I don't think I said that right, but that's one of Max's favorite games.
Oh, yeah.
Zach, it's the biker guy with the big nose.
Yeah.
Which I wish Max was here to talk about it. But he said after drinking 50 energy drinks, and something I could see myself introducing to gateway gamers and playing with my heavier group again and again and again. Now that's something that's really hard to do. Get a game where a experienced gamer says, I could play this with my neighbors that have never played board games before, or my normal group that plays hundreds of games a year. Like that, it is a hard audience, or hard like goal to hit both of those audiences. And so that's awesome. And were you going for that? Were you trying to hit both those audiences from the get-go?
Yeah, definitely. Because we have a game that's pretty hard to explain if we don't reference Mario Kart and Wipeout. So when we say Mario Kart and Wipeout, people already have an idea of what the game is. But because of that, we have 2 different audiences. We have people who play Mario Kart and expect something like that, something very casual, fun, and they can always catch up and all that stuff. And people that play Wipeout, which are looking for more of a serious and strategic approach, something very precise, and you have to play well. So trying to get those 2 audiences together was really important for us. So we have very streamlined and simple rules, so you can learn the game in like 5 minutes. Like we explain the game in 5 minutes and during the demos, and then we start playing. But there's something we say about the game, which is there's always a way to go faster, and it's very true because you have a bunch of boosts on the track, and what you do is when you move on those curves, you slide out and lose traction, so you go towards the edge, and at some point you'll take damage. But there's some ways for you to prevent that, to change lanes, to drive sideways, to have grip, which ignores the loss of traction. You can bump into players, and when you bump into them, you can push them sideways and you deal damage to them. So there's always a bunch of movement going around, and trying to find a way to get to the most of these boost pads as possible to move forward and to optimize your nitro, your speed, all that stuff is really part of the strategy of the game, is in which order, because yes, we choose at the same time our cards, but it's not a programmed action game. After that, you're free to choose in which order you do that stuff. You have your 2 cards, you have your passive speed, so if I'm at max speed, like every turn I'm going to move 4 spaces and play my 2 cards. So because of that, like there's always a way you can try to go faster, and that in my playtest is really hard for me not to like point out to people, oh, you ended there, but you could have ended like 8 spaces more in front if you did that in different order, just with the same cards you played. So that is really the part where the experienced players come in play. So if you're experienced and you're playing with your play group regularly, it's really these big brain moves and combos that makes it fun.
Yeah, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious where Like I would love to hear back kind of at the start of all this. Like, did you start with just like, I really want to make a racing game, or like, did you just wake up one day with this idea? Like, where did the initial thought come from?
All right, so let me tell you something. I hate racing games.
All right.
I'm not a racing game fan.
I can't believe this is amazing.
I never have been. So I woke up one day and I was doing a bunch of prototypes at that part of my life. So I was just experimenting with stuff and doing a design and playtesting it once and trashing it the next day. So I started with the idea of these curves. So basically, I usually start with a moment in my game design, not with a theme or mechanics. So it was not a racing game, was not a futuristic thing. We only had these curves, and the idea is, do you want to go fast and take the damage on those curves, or do you want to time right a sideways movement to keep going? So that dilemma of going faster and taking damage or playing it safe was really at the heart of what we wanted players to feel as a moment, like this tension, this excitement, because we wanted the answer to that question to be, yes, I want to go faster and take damage. Like, that was our goal. We didn't want the answer to slow down because we felt that was boring. But we still wanted to give the option to that player and to have that opportunity come up many times in that same turn. So on your turn, you have like 3 or 4 different actions, and for each of them, you say, do I push my luck or do I slow down? Do I push my luck or do I slow down? And trying to find the right balance of pushing your luck was really fun. And that could just naturally evolve into something where you can attack players, because if you can control your own risk with these curves, it's less stressful. But if at any time someone can come up and bump into you or shoot you or place a bomb, then the stakes are higher because you cannot predict human behavior. So trying to predict other players came up naturally after that, and then we just felt like it was going to be a combat racing game, a futuristic thing. We started with retro futuristic, so we say Wipeout, F-Zero, and all that stuff. It was not inspired by that at the beginning, but players kept referencing those games, and we're like, you know what? It's kind of like those games, so let's make it like those games, because I delved more deeper into those games, and I really, really enjoyed them. So I was like, okay, yeah, people are right. We should probably make it more like F-Zero and Mario Kart. So we just changed it a bit, and yeah, here we are now.
With the push your luck mechanics, or really even any mechanics in particular, did you find yourself referencing like particular games, like when it came to those different like types of mechanics in the game?
Not really. I feel like this game just designed itself, like starting with this curve mechanic. It was just, I don't know, one after the other. The mechanic just came into the game after that, because we just felt like to empower that feeling, to make it more meaningful, that decision, that risk, we had to add this element. And then to make it fun with the interaction of other players, we had to add this mechanic. And then to tie them together, we need to add this. So it kind of just came together and became its own identity of a game. And from there, then we started to reference other games and try to polish it, streamline it, and remove some extra stuff that wasn't necessarily there. And then we had more of a vision, but at the beginning, so it's a weird process, but it was really, really fun to design.
Did you hit any big like roadblocks in that development process? Like, were there any like just like, oh, this isn't working, how do we fix it?
Yeah, definitely. The big one we had was the rival system, which went through like 8 different versions. And basically, it's a racing game, and it sucks when you're destroyed, but this decision of trying to go faster in curves and take damage is worth nothing if there's not the consequence of dying. So and dying means you need to lose an advantage compared to other players, so you need to slow down in some way. So, and slowing down is sad in a racing game. So that was the main issue, was how do we make it less painful to be destroyed without having it be a meaningless consequence, because we want player to fear that moment. So initially we just had player lose a turn, repair, and then keep going, and that felt really bad. So we instead chose to have a rival system which is that when you die, you don't lose a whole turn. You just need to repair. That takes one of your actions, and then you can still play your cards. You can still move, use your nitro, take those boosts. There's a bunch of things you can do. But to balance that, we had players who damaged you get some rewards. So if I shoot you and I play some bombs on you, then when you get destroyed, I get some rewards to go faster. So in fact, the difference between the two players, it remains the same as if you lost a complete turn, but you suffer a small consequence and the other gain a small reward. So the consequence is divided between two players. And that was hard to do. We try to find a way to keep track of the damage. We didn't want the last blow to have all the rewards. In some games people damage each other, but only the one who finished the kill just get all the stuff. So we wanted in some way to keep track of who dealt damage to who and how much people dealt damage to each other. And it was hard because we designed the health to be a track. You gain health, you lose health on that track just by moving a marker. So we experimented with 3 different tracks for each player. So I have 3 tracks, one for each opponent, and I keep track with a token of how many damage it dealt to me. And that was a bit fiddly, a bit hard. And it took some time to, break away from that initial design of a health track and just say, okay, let's trash that. Let's do tokens instead. We have 5 health tokens, and when I take damage, I can just give them to players who dealt damage to me. So if you deal 2 damage to me, I give you 2 of my health tokens. So now I have 2 less, but you have these 2 tokens that signify you have 2 rewards when I die. And that was really, really cool. The only consequence was that passing tokens around the table with our arms stretching out and all that stuff was really, really disrupting. So in the end, we had these tracked on our own player boards. So that was our biggest roadblock. And the design the journey we took to fix it was really, really long, a bunch of versions, but I'm really glad we extended our design 3-4 extra months just to get that right.
Oh man, yeah, it's definitely one of those things where occasionally there's a part where you're I think I can make that better, but I'm going to have to break a lot to do it, and that is a scary decision to make, for sure.
And then you have to patch everything back up together after
exactly. And who knows what else you might break that then needs the same treatment, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, goodness. So quite a few people have been commenting on, so one of our Discord members, and I think has been working with you as well, just on things, is Chuck White. So Chuck saying in our chat that we could join the tournament, and we have, till the 14th, I think, to sign up for that?
Yeah.
And I want to talk about what this tournament is. If you actually, I'm going to find it on the page. Why don't you tell us what the tournament is?
So Chuck has been helping us doing the playlists, by the way. He's been amazing. He's just a fan, and someday he shows up and says, hey, I want to help you do some playtests for the game. So he's been running this Discord like crazy. He has playtests every single night. I'm very impressed.
You're the best,
Chuck. Wow. So Chuck is very, very awesome. We have a fan tournament, which is part of our social goals. So basically, people can join the tournament. If you click the button, it's gonna go to a Google form. You can sign your information, and basically the winner of that tournament will get a free veteran pledge, which is the all-in pledge if you want. So people are fighting for their free stuff, but also we have 3 brackets. 3 rounds, so the first round we have all these 64 contestants, and then after the first round to the semifinals in English, I think. So the semifinals and then the final. But with that first game, we get to see how people play. So are you more aggressive? Are you more fast player or combo player? So we divide those players into teams depending on those play styles. So they get an email with a sponsor saying, "Hey, you've been recruited for that team, right?" And then people can root for their favorite team because the team that will win the tournament will decide which extra upgrade card gets added to the game, and the upgrade card is tied to that team.
That's fun.
So that's just a small way to unlock new extra components for the game and have it tied to the actual players who participate in the tournament. Yeah. So if you want to join the tournament, we still have some entries left. So it's only 3 games if you make it to the final. So there we go.
Nice. Yeah, that's really cool. Well, all right. So guys, join the, or guys and gals, y'all's the term that I'm always for, join this and go win a copy. But something I was really impressed with just looking at the campaign this last year and a half, I don't know if it was the pandemic or what, but so many amazing first time creator projects and just pages. Your page obviously looks incredible. I was a big fan of it, but one thing that I really noticed that I was impressed of, especially for a first time design, was that it seemed to have a good amount of replayability, just kind of inherent in a lot of the choices you made.
Yeah.
And it's not just that you pick a color ship. It's not like Monopoly where people have their favorite, their little car and their dog or whatever. There's actually differences between what you pick. And so, like, not only that though, you could pick a different hover car. It's a hover car.
Yeah.
Hover car. All right. You have those that are different, but then you also have your different drivers that are completely different too, which I think is really, really great. And then on top of that, you have an expansion that takes it from 4 players up to 6 players, right?
Yeah.
So is that? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. I was just going to say that the pilots have their own unique ability. So you can mix and match them with each card, because it's a card game, right? You have 7 cards in hand and you choose them each round. You choose 2 of them, and each of their car have a unique card. Sorry, the word car and card is similar for me.
Yeah.
So each hover car has their own unique card in their hand. So that's little asymmetry there, not that much, because you're going to be building your hand anyway during the race. So you're going to gain these upgrades as you pass the checkpoints. So you only have a small asymmetry from your car, but your pilot gives you a very strong and different unique ability that scales up as you get further behind. So if you're 7 spaces behind the first player, you're kind of in need of a help to catch up. So that ability of your pilot gets a bit stronger. We call it the catalyst, because your pilot has in these Speed Racer movie, or at the end, like the pilot, the protagonist is in a bad spot, his card is broken, and he has to focus on himself and remember the quotes from his mentor, and just and then he goes fast with the music. So that's what the catalyst is, basically.
I love that. And is that is the catch-up mechanic that is teased on the page, correct?
Kind of. So it's part of it. So
it's only part of it. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to that. So I'm gonna interject there, because one of the things I was really curious about, and I talked about on our episode of Ivy Back, was number 5 here. Your reasons, not reasons, but like some of the things just about the game, was that the game is always tight. A clever design allows the game to be tight until the end, while still requiring a lot of skills to win. Say goodbye to runaway leaders and earn your victory like never before. And that's something that we really care about when we play games, just because it just is not fun for not just the person, but it's also not fun for the whole table when it's not like a close victory. Like close victories feel better than you being at 10, your friend being at 1, right? And so I was like, well, now I want to know what this clever design is. And so the catalyst is half of that. When you're further back, your pilot has a card that is more powerful when you're behind. Pack, is that right?
Kind of like Mario Kart, you get your special item when you're behind. That's pretty much it.
Gotta get the bullet.
And that's, in fact, that's not the clever design that allows the tight gameplay. It's in fact the if everything else fails, that's there for you as a net to catch up. Because it's a racing game, and I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Okay. So if people are apart from each other, it's visually a big difference compared to like point salads game, when you count the scores at the end and then you say, oh, I was far behind from you, but I had fun all the time because I didn't really notice. The racing game, people can kind of give up if they see that there's no way for them to catch up. And also, it's a combat racing game. What's fun about it is to bump into each other, place bombs, shoot each other, and there's a range for that. So you want people to stay in that fun zone between each other.
Right.
And that for us is 5 zones apart. So 5 zones apart is really fun because the first player can place a bomb at that same turn that bomb is a threat. The players behind are in the range to shoot that player or to shoot the bomb to prevent it from damaging them. But also, we have that these quick actions. So in your hand, when you flip these cards, some of them have this green lightning icon. And these quick actions resolve immediately as you reveal them. And one of them is to change a turn order. So if you plan to place a bomb in my face or to do something, or maybe to get away before I get to attack you, I can change the turn order. And that same turn, now I'm first player, and I can outsmart you and try to bump into you. And, so that 5 zones between each other is really, really important for the gameplay. So we have that catch up, that the pilot ability we were talked about, the catalyst, trigger and get stronger when you're more than 5 behind. So if you're more than 5 behind, it's 1 space stronger. If you're more than 7 space behind, it's 2 space stronger, just to help you get into that 5 zones range. But if you're farther than 7 spaces, it doesn't get stronger, because you have to play well. You can't make too many mistakes and expect the game to hold your hand. But the catch up, the clever design that allows a tight gameplay is in fact the every single action in the game is designed around that. So the shooting action, I can shoot people in front of me, and that auto damage them. So I just say, okay, I target you, and you're in my range. You both take 1 damage. But the bomb is the way to attack people behind you, and you place the bomb behind you, and you expect people to get into that bomb. But people can avoid the bomb by moving sideways. They can shoot the bomb to destroy it before you get to it. So damage behind you is never guaranteed, but damage in front of you is. Then you have the bumping mechanic. So when I bump into you, I deal damage to you, and then I push you sideways. So people behind, if they get to catch up to the first player, they can slowly damage him until they destroy him. And the first player don't have anyone to bump into. So he tries to focus on speed, but at some point he's going to get destroyed, so you have to repair. And when he repairs, you're going to slow down a bit, so people will catch up to him. So everything in the game, every single decision, card, or mechanic is meant for that first player, that leading player, to have a harder time trying to create some more distance between him than it is hard for people to catch up to him. I don't know if that's clear, but basically it's easier to catch up than to run away. So, but it's still possible to run away. Like if you make very good decisions, if people behind you are make very obviously bad decisions, the game won't make it so that it's impossible to win, even if you. What I mean is it's impossible to win if you're really bad. So you have to make great decisions, but if you make mistakes, you're not out of the game. That's what I mean.
Yeah, totally. We have a question from the audience. Dane says, has Nicolas ever watched Redline, one of my favorite anime movies, 60 frames per second speed racer plus Cowboy Bebop style show?
Yeah, I did a few months ago.
Oh, nice.
A fan recommended the movie to me, and I was really impressed. Like the way they distort the animation and the image to convey the sense of speed is just amazing. It just feels so crazy when you have all these characters stretched out like a spaghetti. That a spaghettinization is what happens in black holes. It's just very, very cool movie.
Yeah, that's fun. So, Zach, you designed a video game before you ever designed a board game. And Nicolas, you designed a video game, I'm assuming, or at least a part of a team designing a video game before you designed a board game. Is that true?
Yeah.
So is the prerequisite for board game design to design a video game?
Well, kind of, because here in Quebec, I don't know about anywhere in the world, but you don't have like a school program or path to go into board game design. So if you want to go into game design in general, you have to pass through the video game field. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm studying game design, but I'm mainly doing video games. And I'm kind of hoping, because I love teaching, and that's something I wish to do in the future. So I kind of have some plans with my current university to try, when I'm done with my studies, to work with them to actually create a board game program for people like me who wants to go through that route. But other than that, you have to be self-made. If you want to go straight into board game, you have to just start creating board games and start doing them. And that's really hard, but that's the best way to do it if you don't know anyone in the industry. So yeah, I think it's tough to be a board game designer without going to video games at all.
Yeah, I mean, that's really true. It's like to design board games, you have to design board games. Like there's not like, you start at this entry level job, and then you learn from a master for 3 years, and then you just start designing board games. And it's probably similar in some other vocations, but
yeah, I'm sure
it definitely is one of those things. It's like there's not like a clear pathway of how to get there.
Oh yeah, and they're all not that many similarities as well. Like it's very different designing your board game than the video game, and you can't expect all your knowledge to translate to both mediums.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, really cool. How much did you kind of pool resources with your day job? Did you constantly bring this into the office? Or like, guys, you got to play this with me. Tell me the feedback. Were they helpful in this process, or was it pretty much pretty removed from each other?
Well, I think I only played once with my coworkers and once with my boss as well before, because with COVID, we mainly while I was doing the heavy playtesting phase of Megapulse, I was mainly working remotely. So I started to find out about Tabletop Simulator, started to use that, and that's where I found like all these Facebook groups and Discord that you can just post, hey, anyone available to play this, and there's always someone that's going to be, yeah, let's try it. Yeah. So that just proved way more useful and efficient than just trying to organize something and drive there and do a playtest. It's just so easy to iterate as well. So I haven't made a physical prototype for like 2 years. Like I think I did version 1, 2, 3. Then we have like 6 versions of just online playtesting, and then my last version was this one I have right behind me. So.
Oh yeah. We didn't play Veiled Fate in person ever before launching the game.
Yeah,
really,
a little scary,
which was terrifying.
Yeah,
and then it was so thick in COVID where like me and Zach weren't even hanging out for a long time, and so it was just all developed on TTS, and it's scary, but at the same time you iterate so much faster.
Yeah,
much faster. And so that was really helpful. Kevin says, I had a feeling, or I had a hunch that Nicolas was from Quebec. His last name is common around here. So you have another Quebecian, I believe, in there. So thick in COVID apparently is a funny term, Dark Fox thinks. And then Aaron says, do you find that there are design principles that are similar between board and video game design? And I want you both to answer that, actually, Nicolas and Zach.
Well,
yeah, Zach, do you want to go first?
Oh, sure. I mean, yes, in the sense that, like, I think design in general is just like a very, like, no matter what you're designing, whether it's a poster or it's a film or an animation or whatever. Like, I feel like there's a lot of things that you can take between them, like especially like just the iterative nature of things, like leading a team. Those skills are always the same too. So yeah, I mean, there's, I think just like design itself is just like it's trying to make something better with the resources that you have over and over and over again, and those things definitely pair. But I'm trying to thinking like games specifically. I don't know if you have anything you want to jump in with, Nicolas, while I'm thinking.
Yeah, well, I think that design in general, as you say, it's a very you're trying to find elegance. I think most of the time when you're doing these both game design and video game design, but in board game design, the main difference is that you don't have a computer to do all the heavy math and stuff. So you kind of rely on your players to do very simple operations and handle the components in a very non-fiddly way. So in board games, I think there's way more of trying to remove stuff from your game, trying to streamline it to like a minimum that you can have to still have fun and convey the experience well. And some video games definitely do that. So design by subtraction is a thing in video games, and a bunch of them do that. But that philosophy of design is not applied to most video games because you don't really have to. They try to make the tutorial as streamlined as possible. Once you learn the game, though, you can go deeper and deeper, and that's what people want. They want to hook you into the video game, and have you playing for hours. So they can pump a bunch into it. As for board games, it's very different on that end. But some general pillars, do still apply.
Yeah, it's a bummer that that mentality, especially of like learning a game, is so different in like video games than board games. Because like some of my favorite like video games in general, like just have no tutorial. It's just like the Mario type approach, right? Where it's just like the first level is designed in a way to like force you to jump. It's designed to like force you to like, what do I do when I encounter an enemy? And it's just like kind of trial by fire, like a little bit. Whereas in like a board game, like most of the board games we play take like, I don't know, whoever's learning it first takes like 45 minutes to an hour probably of like really prepping to like make sure you can teach it to a group of people and stuff. And like I haven't seen that many board games where it's just like you just turn it on and it just works, and you play it and you figure it out as you go. I'm envious of the medium in some ways. When doing board games versus video games.
Nicolas, something that you said kind of like sparked something for me, and that's that there's a Slay the Spire board game coming out right now.
Yeah.
And my favorite character is the Defect, and I go for insane action point, energy point plays. And like I sent some screenshots to Zach last week of a game where I had over 100 energy
Wow.
at one time on this, and you start with 3, so that's just a point of reference.
Yeah.
That strategy is not possible in board games because there's no way I'm sitting there counting my energy.
Yeah.
That's something that's optimized by the platform, by the computer. So it is something that, like, when you translate between them, there are advantages and disadvantages, which is interesting.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because actually we're at my day job, Astrolab. We do conversions of video games to board games. And there's one under NDA right now. I can talk about it, but it's
is it Slay the Spire? No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's not. But it's a very, very cool project to start. But basically, the important part when you do a board game about a video game is that you want to emulate the same excitement and feeling that players had when playing those games, and those moments. Because video games, when you talk about like your experience to your friends, you're mainly going to reference some moments, some very exciting moments that you had. Like if it's an exploration game, maybe it's a moment where you found out something, some lore, an item, a relic or something. And maybe like in a racing game for us, it's going to be like that moment where it was really, really tight and you had just that extra movement to pass the finish line first. And conveying those moments is more important than conveying those mechanics. You're trying to have the players feel the same excitement, but not necessarily engage in the same way with the components of the systems. So for Slay the Spire, for example, I'm pretty sure if they do the job right, they'll find a way for you to combo off the same way you did without really you having to do the math, because that's the bad part. Your experience in Slay the Spire is not doing the math. It's just comboing off into a crazy powerful way. So they find a way to make you feel that way. As long as you know that the board game is not an exact replica of the video game, then you're in for a fun time.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, no, I like that, because like I feel like it's similar to like another similarity, which is like gameplay loops, or like the core loop of your gameplay, where it's like Moonrakers, right? It's like you go on a mission, you get rewards, you make your deck better, you go on harder missions, and you just do that over and over and over again, and you like finding that loop. And I think that's the same way with a lot of modern like video games as well too. It's just like, what's that like core gameplay loop, and how can you just kind of maximize the fun of that?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think those things really apply across both. But
going to interject here. We have a few comments I want to call out. So Edward says, just saw that IV is in Nashville. We live in Cleveland and Nashville often. Edward, if you're on Discord, hit me up. Let's get coffee. Let's play a game. Let's do it. Dark Fox wants to know if we will find you at PAX Unplugged. I believe he is talking to you, Nicolas, because he knows we will be at PAX Unplugged. So are you going to be at PAX?
I will not. Running dry on the budget.
You were at Essen and Gen Con, right?
Yeah. And those were the biggest ones we wanted to attend. PAX Unplugged and Origins, we really wanted to go to them. But, we have to make some decisions at some point, too.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I'm glad you went to those two. Those are the two I would choose as well. I ended up not going to Essen this year because I was so tired and had been to back-to-back Origins and Gen Con. And it was going to be a lot.
Yeah, it would have been brutal.
It would have been brutal. On my family, too. I have 2 kids. So it was like, hey, who's dad? What's he look like? Okay, cool. No. Aaron says, Zach, I think that speaks to video game genres having a common vocabulary of actions that designers can rely on, and board games lack the universality. I think that he's going back to the tutorial.
So that's interesting, because I was thinking about that when I saw that comment come up, because like there still is that common vocabulary, right? Like there still is that like
action card.
Yeah, it's like in like a deck builder. It's like you build on that like framework of that genre, like or like a worker placement or something like that. Like you build on that, but I guess they're not common enough to like reference each other. I don't know.
Pretty different, like viticulture versus Scythe. It's like drastically different.
Yeah, same designer.
So Yeah, for sure.
I think a lot of it's too is just like so much is automated, and you can automate so much, and you can kind of really get out of the way. But I mean, I don't know. Some board games do it better than others, where it's just like the rules kind of get out of the way, and it does feel very elegant. And honestly, this game seems like, and like I think also that speaks to like cohesion with theme as well too, where it's just like, oh, like it makes sense. Like we're in a race together, right? Like we can attack each other. Like if I go fast, I'm gonna run into the walls. Like this feels really like integrated, which is awesome. But,
and we had a question we asked in the playtest, because at some point, at the beginning we didn't reference these video games. At some point we started to do that, and it was important for us to not disappoint players, because we told them it was going to be like that, and they kind of expected something. And so we asked the question of like, what did you expect when you told you that it was going to be that kind of game? And like, was there something that was not there? And there was some very good suggestions, very good like memories from their childhoods. Like, oh, I was playing Mario Kart and that stuff always happened. It was really fun, part of the experience for me. Or same with Wipeout. And we tried to implement them into the game, usually mostly into these upgrade cards. So if there was something crazy that people remembered, like it's in there in that upgrade deck, so you can experiment with that stuff. So trying to convey the theme, but also the moments and memories from those childhood. It was really important for
Tap
us.
into that nostalgia.
Yeah, definitely.
Faux Jared said, or J-Red maybe, hey crew, I was fortunate enough to playtest Megapulse through Break My Game last year. Can't wait to see the finished product. Keep up the good work, Nicolas. Thanks.
Oh, that's a long time ago.
Yeah. I mean, the finished product looks fantastic. And this is one of those unique games where you're not only the designer of the game, you're the designer of the art. You're a graphic designer by trade, it seems. So usually when that's the case, the art looks a lot worse than this. I will say that. Either the game is bad or the art is bad. And that's not the case. I'm just, trying to be silly here. But I'm really impressed with both, everything that I've seen. Once again, I haven't played the game, planning on playing it soon. Was that a blessing and a curse sometimes? Because I imagine it was really hard to stop working on your game.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I have a background in graphic design as well, because I was talking about going to that video game route instead of, because you don't really have a choice. But I was kind of bored with that at some point. So I went with the graphic design route. And then I recently returned to university to complete a game design thing. But so having a background in graphic design really helped me. So I saved a bunch of costs, because I can do all the graphic design. I can do the, I assembled all the page myself, and I can have the illustrations. I did the track. So what you see, the track tiles, cool. I did that myself, because that's very very straightforward art, but I couldn't do the cover art and the cars and even the card illustrations is a style that I could have done, but I chose not to do it myself, just because of a question of time. But just paying those costs made me glad I knew how to do graphic design, because if I didn't, I can't imagine how costly it would have cost me to hire someone to do, because it's not only the games, the rule book takes a lot of time, the website, the Kickstarter page, all that stuff. You always need graphic design, and that was hard for me to stop, because it's my own work, and I can edit it, I can improve it. I always wanted to, and I'm glad I did at some point, because the game looks like it is now, and I'm very glad of where it is. It has its own identity and brand. It was not always the case. But I went through very much a bunch of iteration, and because on each of these iterations I knew graphic design, I tried to do it as best as I could. So I wasted a bunch of time exploring different art styles when I could just have not focus on that during the early prototypes. But I have a day job. It's the only time where I can really take my time, because I only invest my own time, my own passion. I don't have a salary for this project, so that means if I ever have success with my own Orion and all that stuff with Megapulse, at some point I'll do that as a living, maybe, and then I won't have the luxury of taking my own time like that. So I say don't do what I did unless you do it just for fun.
I've waited until now to say that this is really, really close to funding. It hasn't funded yet, because I wanted it to. I wanted to kind of talk about how great I think this game is and how wonderful things that Alex and Mark have said about it. Just because I think it's incredible that you've done this in your part-time while working another job, while being at university. And I didn't want to I didn't want people to think that is why I was telling them to back it. And it's not at all. I think that is incredible that you've done that, and that is awesome, and you should be proud of that. But it definitely is a worthy back and something that I'm excited to back. So congrats to you on pulling this off. It's really, really cool.
Thank you. It's very close. I'm looking at it right now.
So
yeah. It's pretty dang close. You've got like a little over 1,000 US to go. So it definitely could get there today, especially if there's some fun people in the audience that want
I mean,
maybe.
Let's see it.
We're already backing it, Zach. So
It's great. I'm excited to play.
Thank you.
Gotta get my first ever racing board game.
Yeah, definitely.
Hope you enjoy it, because as I said, I'm not a racing fan. The reason I made this game is because I realized that even though I don't enjoy racing games, I don't enjoy NASCAR and all that stuff, I have a lot of fun playing Mario Kart. And that's really what I tried to do here, because the interaction is what makes the game fun, I think. So it's really not about racing. People play racing this game and say they don't like racing games, and they also agree, like, okay, I hate racing games, but I like this one. So I think that's a good spot to be, because racing genre is a very niche market, I feel like. So yeah, if in the comments are people watching you're hesitating, I'm telling you, it's fun.
That's tough. It's tough to like you zone in on like a specific. It's tough to know, like, do you aim wide or do you go like specific? And I feel like I don't know. It's tempting to go for that, like that wide, cast a wide net and like just like, I'll just make something that appeals to everyone. But I feel like it's so much harder to find success that way. Like I feel like narrowing in as specific as possible, I think, can be really where you find something interesting. And so I think that's what you've done here, which is a lot of fun.
I wanted to bring something new to the table, right? I wanted to have something original, and having something original and new obviously means that if there's not really a bunch of already board games existing in that market, like, people are less likely to jump on board easily because they don't have a reference. They don't know if they like that kind of genre. They don't know if they like this kind of mechanic. So it's harder to pull people in. But at the same time, like, I would be wasting my own time as a game designer if I want to improve, if I don't do something new and try to improve my skills. So
definitely.
Well, don't take our word for it. Mark Street is here, and he said,
Mark.
"Hey, Megapulse, so good."
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you for being here, Mark. Your name has come up several times in a positive light on the show, so I'm glad you tuned in.
Don't fact check that though.
Yeah, don't go back and watch it. This is all. Zach, can you find the lightning questions?
Yes,
I will give you
I'm ready.
I'm ready. Okay, before you ask that, because I wanted to follow up on what you guys were talking about. The kind of like focusing in on something. I feel like we've tried to do that in the past, and we end up not staying there because it wasn't as fun as something else we discovered along the way. And that's something that Zach and I hear on our team talking about, just like chasing the fun. Is that something that you chase the fun into the racing game? Because I see we were talking about just like topics and stuff beforehand. You had something called like smiles and laughs, letting the fun design for you, and that really resonated with me. Tell me a little bit about like how you had that same experience.
Well, we try to, it's a board game. You want players to make choices, and you want to have those choices have consequences, and you also want to limit the player. There's a fixed number of actions you can do on each turn. There's that's the max speed you can get on your car, all that stuff. The HP you have before you die, and these are really constraints to the player. And I see a bunch of new designers that try to use these constraints as a bad DM would in a game of D&D. Try to railroad your players into a one way of playing you intend to, and also to make the progress more slow because you don't want them to end the game before they. So basically in Megapulse we had that, and we removed a bunch of barriers because we tried to see what was fun in the game, what made people smile, what made people laugh, what was the moments they loved the most, and we removed everything that was not fun, and we tried to make all of the other things fun as well. So a small example is how usually the ultra fire card to shoot people. Was just you shoot people. The card to place a bomb, you just place a bomb, and it felt okay. I placed a bomb, but then what else? It's a racing game. I want to race. So we just added a bunch of power to those cards. Like every card makes you move no matter what. So you place the bomb and then you move. You shoot and then you move. These upgrades, instead of balancing the cards together and saying that's it, we just made everything balanced as well, but around a more giving more power to the player, giving more options, more choices, and more freedom to the players. It was really important for us to make them let them have fun, let them do stuff, let them move, let them race. So I think that's a very important, is to try to find what's fun in the game and just let players play with that. Like sometimes there's a game with there's a very fun mechanic, like Dice Forge, for example. I really like how you can build your own dice. Like, oh, it's really fun. I can change the faces of my own dice and forge that die as I play. But the game is only like 5 or 6 rounds. I don't know, because they don't want you to overuse those dice and get overpowered. Like as you just build them, the game is over. Yeah, I want to have fun. Let me play more. Let everyone be overpowered, but let them have the reward of building their die. So, I don't know. So
I love that you said that, because people have been telling us that they play to 10 on Moonrakers and then they play back to 0 because they just feel like their ship was getting started and then the game ends.
Yeah.
And so it's like a good data point for us that there are some people that want to play a longer game of Moonrakers. And the whole time we've been trying to make it shorter.
But shorter gameplay is always better, right? Yeah. At some point you always want to the climax needs to be the end of the game. You don't want to have the climax and then have something just continuing everyone is less excited because the climax already happened. So having that, like, oh, my ship is fully built, now I'm ready to score points or ready to do these huge contracts. You don't just want 1 or 2 of those turns, and then after those turns people are like, I wanted more, so they play another game. So it's a balance to strike. It's hard to hit it, but once you hit it, it feels good.
Awesome. Okay, well, Zach, let's hit Nicolas with some rapid fire questions. I'll let you explain those, and then we'll follow up with Nicolas just kind of sharing where the game is and maybe about your social stretch goals.
Sure.
And then we'll go from there.
Yeah. So we got these quick ones. I've been trying to customize them a little bit more per person. So I've got the quick, just the first thing that comes to your mind. All right. All right. So first up, meeples or minis?
Oh God, silk screen meeples with custom shapes over cheap minis.
Okay.
Very awesome minis and colored minis and all that stuff over cheap meeples. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
All right, go to Mario Kart character.
Ooh.
Oh God, I'm a big fan of Double Dash on the GameCube.
Okay.
So I usually pick Toad. And then the shell guy, the one that has the red shells with the wings.
Is that Koopa?
Koopa? Maybe. I don't know the name, but that guy with the because I like those red shells and the shrooms as my special item. So.
Oh, nice. All right. So racing theme: Need for Speed or Forza, or neither.
I'm not a motor car fan, so I would say neither. I would say Wipeout or F-Zero.
Oh, all right.
Need for Speed is the correct answer.
I love it. We played so much Need for Speed in college. Yeah. All right. Favorite racing movie?
Oh, okay. So when I was working on Megapulse, I was watching. I never watched the full movie, but I was watching on repeat the final scene of the Speed Racer movie, the new one.
Nice. Yeah.
But it was on YouTube. It's not the original scene. It's a remix with some Initial D music in the background. So that movie was really fun for me. And I eventually tried to watch it, but I didn't have time to finish it. And then the other great racing movie is obviously Red Line, that I watched the anime one. Really, really cool sense of speed in this one. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Video game dev question: Unity or Unreal?
I wish I knew how to use Unreal because it looks very fun to use. So I'm there right now. I'd say Unity because it's the only one I know how to use.
Yeah, that's what I use as well. All right. So on the video game side, most recent video game played.
Most recent play. Well, just before this interview, I was trying to relax from all this campaign buzz,
Yeah.
and I've been playing a lot of Hollow Knight recently.
Oh, nice. I have not played, but I've heard great things.
Because I'm a fan of Celeste.
Same.
And I doing some like speed run of Celeste as well. So Hollow Knight has also a big speed run community. So I'm trying to get better at the game to eventually try to do as fast as possible.
Wow, how fast are you getting through Celeste?
Celeste, I'm not that fast. I'm doing it in 57 minutes.
Jeez. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that
fast.
seems like wildly fast, but that's amazing.
Yeah. When I was going to Essen, I just opened my laptop at the airport while waiting for my plane. I could just, go through the game of Celeste, and the plane arrived and I was finished.
That's awesome. All right, closing us out with a few board game questions. First, Euro or Ameritrash?
I think a good mix. I love a good mix of the other two. Yeah,
nice.
A bit of take that, a bit of cool abilities, but also I like to have that Euro feeling.
Euro trash.
Yeah.
Other than resource management or worker placement?
It depends. Worker placement is so large, and some of them are really good. Some of them are very basic. I like to have very, very interesting decisions, and I like that engine building aspect as well. Some worker placement do it well, and integrate those two. But in general, if I don't have any more information, I'd say resource management.
Yeah. All right. Last, what tabletop game did you put on the table most recently, other than your own?
Oh, we bought Paleo at Essen because they had this new expansion, and we actually bought it in German because we thought it would be a fun souvenir to bring back.
Yeah.
So we learned how to play video, and we played recently with a friend that came by here, and we had a ton of fun.
That's awesome.
Nice. All right, what game are you looking to play next for the first time? So you own the game; it's waiting to be played.
Oh God, there's a bunch of them. I'm really looking forward to play Jaws of the Lion from Gloomhaven, because I've tried a few times to play through a campaign of Gloomhaven, but I never finished or never went really far because things are changing in life and I was moving a lot. But Jaws of the Lion, I heard is very more streamlined and accessible, so I'm looking forward to it.
Nice.
All
right, last one. If you may have a BGG account, but if you did have a BGG account and you rated every single game you ever played, what would hold your highest BGG rating?
Oh God.
And
why is it TI4?
To rule them all.
Okay, so the top one for me will be very strange for everyone because I like every style of board game, and my top one would be Gobbit. Because that's a speed, a dexterity game, so you have a bit like Jungle Speed, and you try to eat the other cards by placing your hand on it. And I actually I'm very fast at that game, so fast that I met the current world record holder, the champion. They had championships worldwide with Japan and France and all that stuff. And I beat him when I met him, and I was like, hey, that's very cool.
Wow.
So I never be beaten at this game, and anyone who beats me have a $150 gift of board games. That was something I swore like 5 years ago and still holds true.
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
But that, other than a small game, I'd say Seasons and Clank. I really like Seasons and Clank.
Nice.
Yeah.
Both good games.
Did we almost play Seasons the other night, Austin?
No, I didn't bring Seasons. I brought Parks.
Parks.
But I have played Seasons. And obviously Clank is a classic. I need to get the legacy of Clank.
Seasons is a tough game because it tries to do a lot of things at the same time, and if you're playing for a first game, it might be not that great of an experience. But I was doing some hosting for events for Asmodee when I was younger, and I played this. I presented this game when it came out, and I played it like 30 times in one weekend, so much that I was very used to the game. So once you get very comfortable with the game, it becomes more fun than when you're trying to like get into the rules and all that stuff. So that's why I like it so much. And Clank, I think, is just so accessible. I always find a moment in a group to play Clank with. It's just a middle spot that fits for everyone, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Well, Megapulse, it has 19 days left. It is very, very close to funding. And then you had some social goals that I thought you wanted to cover. So this is a really fun part of your page. You had a few different events that were happening, and that was one of the tournament and designing your own track and stuff. But tell us a little bit about the social media race for Fest.
So social media race, basically, we have 4 cars racing. And what you see the number behind them is the number of shares we have on those publications. So whenever a car reaches 50, we unlock a new upgrade card for the game. So if all 4 of them reach 50, then we have 4 extra upgrade cards. But the first one to reach the finish line will have that hover car on the artwork of these upgrade cards that we unlock.
Oh, cool.
So if blue crosses first and everyone else's crosses, then we're going to have 4 upgrade cards with the blue car on it. Cool. So that's the social media race. Just below that, you see the links. So the image that says move the X350, move the Falcon. When you click on those, you're going to get sent to the YouTube trailer, to a Facebook, Instagram publication, or a Board Game Geek page. If you just share that link to your Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. So if you share that on your social media with the hashtag Megapulse race for us to find it, then that will make that overcar move forward. So that's how you participate.
Cool.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, Nicolas, thank you so much for joining us today, and best of luck with the rest of the campaign. And
thank you.
I can't wait to play.
Thank you so much. It was fun being here.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Nicolas.
Thanks for everyone for watching, and we will see you next week on Ivy Games Weekly. Talk then.